Hi, this is Kelly O'Kelly, and for my Redesigning Instruction challenge, I decided to take a look at author visits and how I handle author visits at my school. Last year we had author Ethan Long come to visit, and this is an example of one of the lessons I did with one of the intermediate grades. I am going to evaluate this using the first two E's of Triple E, engagement and enhancement. So let's see here. So engagement. Engagement first. I first looked at the first descriptor, and it said the technology allows students to focus on the assignment or goals with less distraction. And I do think that somewhat when the kids are on the laptops and kind of one-on-one looking at the material like they were looking at Ethan Long's website, I do think that allows for less distraction because they're kind of like paying attention to me, paying attention to their computer, and trying to stay focused and with the group. So I'm going to give myself a 1 out of 2. That's somewhat for that. Oops. There we go. And then the next descriptor, the technology motivates students to start the learning process. Yeah, somewhat for this lesson. I think, again, just using the laptops, they get excited. Seeing an author's website, that's kind of exciting, but I still think I could work on it, so I'm just going to say somewhat for that as well, so 1 there. And then the last descriptor in engagement was the technology causes a shift in the behavior of the students, where they're moving from passive to active social learners. I had them look at his bio for a bit and then, answer some questions about his accomplishments or his personal life. I had them I flipped through on the overhead projector a bunch of the pictures on his website of his illustrations here. And then I had them describe it here. And then just asking them other questions, and even down here, what questions do you have for Ethan Long for when he visits us? I don't think that necessarily they were becoming more active. They weren't becoming more social. They weren't collaborating. So I think that I am actually going to give myself a 0 on that. So, whoopsie. So for engagement, I'm going to say I got 2 out of 6 points. And then the next E that I wanted to focus on was, let's see here, the enhancement. And for enhancement, the first descriptor was, actually I need to move that over a bit so we can we move that? Maybe not. Okay. The technology tool allows students to be able to develop and demonstrate a more sophisticated understanding of the learning goals, so like using their higher order thinking skills. I'm going to say somewhat on that. I don't think I was really encouraging them to do higher order thinking skills, but a little bit when they're thinking about which books they'd like to read, or using descriptions of his illustrations, or even like coming up with questions for him. I guess that's a little bit of higher order thinking skills, but not to the point where I would want it to be. And then technology creates or scaffolds and supports the students, so that differentiation factor, and I am going to have to give myself a 0 for that. And then the technology creates paths for students to understand the learning goals in a way they couldn't do it with traditional tools. And I'm going to say yeah, because we were using the author's actual website and looking at his actual artwork on there. He had artwork that wasn't necessarily in any of his pictures or in any of his books. So even if we had all of his books in front of us, we wouldn't have had his personal bio. We wouldn't have had some of those illustrations. So I'm going to say somewhat for that too. So for enhancement, I'm going to also give myself a 2 out of 6, and my hope is that I can get that better for the next author visit. We have author Peter Brown coming, and I'd really like to think about my tech use and really work on that engagement and enhancement part of Triple E.